Hello everyone and welcome back to another Getting Stuff Painted, my bi-weekly update, give or take, on the various miniatures I've been painting for the games we cover here on the channel. And I did say last time that I'd be showing off some weird stuff this time that I haven't covered on the channel for a long time, and I asked you to guess, and if you did manage to guess Resident Evil 3 the board game and Blood Bowl without hearing me mention it on my gaming stream, because that'd be cheating, and good on you, because that's what is here. I guess it has also been a while since we've done any Crisis Protocol as well. So we'll be covering that, one model from Batman Miniature Game, a whole heap from Fallout Wasteland Warfare, and as I say, Blood Bowl and the Resident Evil 3 board game technically. But we'll cover that when we get started, one ball throw later, from left to right. You know, I was just thinking there, what if someone just stumbles on one of these randomly and hasn't followed them all, and they're like, what does he mean ball throw, what's he talking about? My dog plays fetch during these, and only during these, and this is also the only thing I record where she understands the rules of fetch and brings the thing I need to throw right to my feet. Anyway, from Marvel Crisis Protocol, we have ourselves the Rhino, who was a super easy and very quick paint job, hence why I managed to get him finished pretty quick, just after putting him together and doing the unboxing. That I believe it'll be real weird if this is up before the unboxing, let's put it that way. So I did pick up some Crisis Protocol releases for the first time in a while that I did kind of want. Instead of putting more money into Kickstarter, I was like, you know what, I'm not that interested in the Kickstarter, I'll just use the money to pick up some Crisis Protocol releases that I wanted, that I managed to find at an okay price. So for Rhino, essentially this is just Basilicanum Grey contrast paint, but I did do a little bit of touching up with Null Oil in the cracks or the muscles, and before and after applying the Basilicanum Grey, I used a little bit of Gulliman Flesh on his knees, his chest, his elbow as well, just because on the official paint job, it's almost like the skin has worn down a little bit, so it's a little scuffed and bruised and not pure grey, just to add a tiny bit of coloration to him. The horns are Skeletal Horde, face is Gulliman Flesh as well, and I don't usually do this because I don't have the talent, the skill or anything, but if we just get close enough, hopefully it'll be in focus. I did actually give him pupils in his eyes because they're very prominent with the way he's staring forwards. And I mean, he looks goofy, but I think he looks goofy anyway. Let's give it a second here. Oh, come on, try and focus. There we go, there's his goofy face. He looks very angry and he's about to smash or pull something out of the ground to chuck at Spider-Man, so there we go. And over the base, after doing Basilicanum Grey on that too, I just used some Storm Vermin Fur and it's Lead Belcher Silver for the surgraying with some Agrax Surf Shade over the top as well. As I say, super simple, and just a normal black paint for the outer rim of the base. Super simple, really quick to get done. He's a very large imposing miniature, and I think he's very versatile. I think he has some really decent rules, some very obvious weaknesses as well, but will fit in very nicely to Spider Foes and anyone else really, like Criminal Syndicate as well. I think could really benefit from him. So looking forward to trying them out, or Rhino out, at some point in the future. So next, two very small miniatures, and like I said, this is technically from Resident Evil 3 the board game by C4 James. I did a full playthrough of it on the channel back when it came out or shipped from Kickstarter. But these were some of the stretch goals that came with the game that have Jill and Barry in their Resident Evil 1 costumes, and I just wanted to change. I wanted something else to paint that wasn't Batman or Fallout. So I thought, oh, you know what, that's a good idea. Let's paint them up in their RE1 costumes, and then I have them ready to go when the RE1 Kickstarter ships in. These are going to be very hard to get in view, they're very small. In September, October or something, I think it's due to ship, barring any last minute problems. So very small miniatures, not usually the scale I'm used to dealing with. A little bit of this scale recently with Final Girl, but for Jill it's Ultramarines Blue, Aethermatic Blue, or no, the new one, Frost Heart, the one that I couldn't remember the name of last time, Gulliman Flesh, and just I think it was, I think I did Snakebite Leather for her hair, but it's actually a tone too bright. I think Wildwood would have been a better choice. She's got dark brown hair, although I guess it does kind of vary from game to game. She had blonde hair in Resident Evil 5 for whatever reason. Anyway, Black Templar for her boots, and I think that was Null Oil over all the top. And then for Barry, we've got Basilicanum Grey for his trousers. I used, which red was that? I think that was just Blood Angels red. It doesn't look bright enough to be Bell red. Snakebite Leather for his holster and whatnot. He has this. That's just the Grey Seer base coat for the shoulders there, and wash over the top as well, and black for his boots and gloves. So pretty simple. I might end up painting their models that come with the Resident Evil. There we go. Their models that come with the Resident Evil 1 board game when it ships. But I figure I've got these done, I've got zombies done from the Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 board games. That means I can get a head start on having things painted, because I want to do a painted playthrough of it as much as possible like I did for the other two. So I think getting a head start now is a pretty good idea, as long as I don't forget by the time the game actually ships, of course. So next, a single entry for the Batman miniature game, the last model I had to go for the Arkham Asylum supervillain box. It is Harley as she appears in her kind of nurse's uniform from the Arkham Asylum video game. As per usual, I always find the Harley models hard to do because they're so small but also so detailed. I struggled with it. Bal Red for the red parts, Luxian Purple for the purple parts. It's just the grey sear base with a little bit of the new white wash that Citadel made as part of the new contrast releases on all the white parts. Non-oil over the top after that, and lead belcher silver for like the garter strings and whatnot, and snake-bite leather for the bat. Just the bog standard baseball bat. Her hair was Eandon yellow, and that's about it. Very nice model. Again, I think from like this distance it looks okay, but when you start to come a little bit closer you can see that it's not a super great paint job, but we're not aiming for up close here, we're aiming for tabletop standard at best. Still a nice model though, very nice. And that is that box completely done now, which means I'm kind of freed up now just for the Scarecrow crew when the Scarecrow crew arrives, so I can just focus on that and just get it done. I just have some other older stuff for the Batman game to cover or to get done, but that's not as big a priority. I just want my backlog cleared for that game so I can really focus on the Scarecrow crew when it releases. So we go to the largest portion of this week, and it's Fallout Wasteland Warfare. Primarily the rest of the Children of Atom Congregation box, I think it was called. All the other models from that I hadn't finished yet, and then some new models and also a dog meat repaint I did using a spare dog meat I had sitting. So my friends who also paint models from this game, we've all taken to referring to the fact that contrast paint and just some normal paints honestly just run on whatever resin it is that Modiphius uses. We just refer to it now in all capitals when we talk about it in Discord as the thing. So we say, oh, this model was pretty easy to paint, but the other model did the thing, and we all know what we're talking about. So these models did it despite being 2020, still relatively new, just before the Force and the Flame Fire release that we're up to now. So it is a little disappointing that they've gone back to a resin that is making it happen, because for a while they weren't. After the 2018 range, like the 2019 range seemed fine, but 2020, I don't know about the newest releases, I haven't had any of them yet. But these all did the thing, and it was just really frustrating as a result to paint them. Because they're all from the Children of Atom, I kind of used the same paint job for all of them, so I'm just going to talk in general about the colours I use. Mainly Basilicanum Grey with Agrax Earthshade over everything afterwards. Agrax Earthshade is a godsend for Wasteland Warfare. It makes everything look post-apocalyptic, rather. Also used a lot of Plague Bearer flesh for these, just to have the hint of the kind of dull green, not quite radiation, but kind of implying it. Lead Belcher Silver for like the gauntlets they're wearing, the gun silver, and whatever weird things are on their chest. A couple of them have mines on their themed bases as well. Used a little bit of Army Painter Rust as well, especially on the first one I showed you there, and a little bit of Skeletal Horde with Agrax over the top. And I think this is probably the most prime example of that. That's mostly Lead Belcher, mostly Skeletal Horde with just the hints of Plague Bearer flesh in places, just to give it a bit of coloration, that kind of stain, because they're all dressed in rags. That's kind of their thing. They don't have armor, they just wear rags, but the rads have made them fairly sturdy, so they're pretty tanky. And then this is the Preacher, I think she's called. She's preaching from the Book of Adam and is having trouble getting into focus. Bear with it a second. I think that's better, yeah. And she's also just sitting next to a couple of vials of nuclear waste that are just spilling out. So I did a bit of reflective light on her there using a mixture of Moot Green and Striking Scorpion contrast paint. Still a little bit of Plague Bearer flesh as well and Skeletal Horde. She's the fanciest looking model. I think like she fits the theme perfectly. I like that most of them are also bald because that makes sense. They hang around radiation, so they've got the radiation poisoning, even though they think it's a good thing. This is another special unit. This one and the Preacher are special. I can't quite remember what they're called. offhand, but same colours used for her as well. And a few of them are using gamma guns, and I just put some of the Striking Scorpion green in. Tried to imply a little bit of reflection there, maybe a little bit OTT on that one. But yeah, that is the Children of Adam box from the Commonwealth wave done. That's all of them for now. They're going to get more releases when we get round to the Nuka World release, because I think, you know, they play a part in that as well. So this was meant to be like a taster, I think Modifius described it as, of what's to come for this faction. Well, sub-faction. It's a sub-faction of the survivors. Oh, is that a ball kicking? Oh, that was 2 balls hitting my foot there. Hang on, I need to throw something. She's a very impatient doggo. And on that note, I had a spare dog meat from the plastic starter set I picked up, so this isn't resin, so paint lovely. And I decided, you know what, rather than just paint dog meat like the German Shepherd he appears in Fallout 4, why don't I paint him, please get in focus, like my dog. So currently she is sitting beneath my feet. She's had enough of me throwing toys for her for now, but this is what she looks like. She is a border collie, and I tried to do the coloration exactly as she is. And I actually had a mod for Fallout 4 that also you could change the dog breed of dog meat, and I had one that made it a border collie. Not quite the same coloration, but close enough. So this one I painted like my dog. Whether or not it will ever see use, I don't know. I just thought it'd be fun to do because I had it sitting, and I didn't really want to paint the usual colours. But yeah, this is, you'll have to take my word for it, but if you want to see pictures of my dog, go to Twitter. There's tons of them on there, and you can compare it to this and see how well I managed to match up to where black and white parts are. But did that for fun, and she's got a Nuka-Cola cherry on her base and a couple of bottle caps there as well. No special colours. This is just Black Legion, the Grey Seer for the white parts with the wash over the top I mentioned earlier, and Basilicanum Grey and Snakebite Leather for the base with Agrex Earthshade over the top. It's a shame there's not a cheese flavoured Nuka-Cola. That would fit better because my dog loves cheese. Anything cheese flavoured she goes nuts for. But yeah, that's Sora. That's my dog right there. And she doesn't, oh, she started, oh no, she's left a ball again. So last two from Wasteland Warfare, and I did mention last week you might be seeing me take a stab at a different type of power armor, and that's exactly what I did. I took a stab at some Enclave, whatever. I took a stab at their power armor after picking up a set, very dirt cheap. I found them very, very, very nice price. So I tried to do something a little bit different with them, like I would do for normal power armor. You know, do it silver, do everything on top, and then do washes. This time around, they were all primed, well, primed in Grey Seer, and then I used Black Templar contrast all over them, and then did a very heavy dry brushing of silver over the top of that, and then did a non-oil wash afterwards to bring it back down a little bit, because they are supposed to look like the, you know, the devils. So that's what I did for them. It's just bog standard yellow paint for their eyes, their visor eyes, and then because Enclave plasma weapons are blue rather than green, I used some of that Frost Heart instead of. If you wanted to do them the normal green colours, just use Striking Scorpion green. But I wanted them to look like the Enclave colours. And that is about it. They were super quick. They did the thing, which is quite annoying, but I made do. And thankfully, because you were using a normal non-contrast paint, like with the dry brushing, it covered up most of the parts where the paint had thinned or removed itself. Basilicanum Grey for the base, some silver on the exposed rebar or whatever, and Agrex Earthshade over the top with some tufts from Armory Painter as well. Don't like the pose for the second one, to be honest with you. It's a bit silly looking. Also, I did come with a slightly, like this one's got a bent plasma rifle, but it's fine. He's kind of leaning backwards, so it kind of balances out, but I don't like how far he's leaning back. I think it was a lazy attempt to make it look a bit more dynamic, which, when is this from? Yeah, this is 2018, so I think they've worked better, or they do better with their power armor poses now. But yeah, this one's a bit weird looking. Just a little weird looking. I get that they didn't want both looking like that. He could have just been like leaning forward, slightly threatening with his gun, since, you know, the Enclave aren't exactly nice guys. But either way, that is 2 done. I actually did pick up the box that also has the Hellfire armor, not Hellfire, what's it called? The Tesla armor, and then the other one, the one with the launcher that looks a bit weird. It's very weird looking. I don't remember offhand what it's called, but that'll be on the table at some point. No rush to get it done. I just wanted to kind of get those out because I wanted to take a stab at a different style. I'm actually very happy with how the first one, I'm really happy with how he turned out. But the other one, not so much, but it's mostly the pose. So to end on this time, we have some Blood Bowl specifically working through more of the Skaven team. I showed off a couple of painted models from the Skaven team twice in this series so far, because I finished both Gutter Runners trying out slightly different colours on both. I think one was more contrast heavy and one wasn't. But I just wanted to, I fancied painting something a bit different again, so I just was like, what do I have sitting that I didn't finish? So I'll start getting through some more Skaven. So I painted up both Skaven throwers for the team and 2 of the linemen. So that still leaves 4 linemen and 2 blitzers that aren't done for the team yet. I'm going to hopefully try and get them done. We'll quickly talk about the colours because it has been a while since they've been on the channel. But let's see, Volupus pink for their tail. A lot of Striking Scorpion green and Plague Bear flesh, some Bal red. Their skin tone is I took to using the Gargak Sur, whatever it's called, colour, with a little bit of Gulman flesh for the feet and hands. Snakebite leather and Aggressor shade over the top. Their base, I used Striking Scorpion and then put Mordant Earth, I believe it's called, over the top, the Citadel texture paint. So it kind of, you just apply it really thickly and then it cracks like that. So it looks like Warpstone. It's perfect for Vermin, for Skaven. That's where I wanted to see Vermintide. So it looks nice. So these are the 2 throwers. The official paint job I think had the balls they were holding painted like the Skaven color balls. I'm trying to just paint them all like the standard looking Blood Bowl ball, just to have a little bit of like cohesion no matter what team it is. They all kind of look the same. So then you get 6 blitzers in the box set for the Skaven team, and 3 different poses, 2 of each. So I stuck with the 2 that are in the same pose. And oh yeah, I used I think it was just a dollop of Bal red for their eyes as well, because they've got beady red eyes hidden in there. Not bad. It's been a while since I painted any kind of Games Workshop plastic. It always looks intimidating because of how detailed it is, but then when you get on with it, it's not too bad. Especially when it's just vermin that are a little small. But yeah, no promises of getting the entire team done or bringing Blood Bowl back. I found it very hard to keep track of everything for 2 teams over such a long game. I think that's why most people prefer playing, what's it called, 7s or 6s, where you don't have a full team because it's much easier to track. But either way, I just felt like painting something a bit different and went back to them. So that is going to do it for another Getting Stuff Painted update. Feel free to at me on Twitter with what you've been painting if you want, and I hope this has inspired you to get through your pile of grey shame. Next time, there probably will, though there'll definitely be more Crisis Protocol. I've got another half-finished miniature from that on the table right now, so it'll be in the next update for sure. You'll probably see it in a battle report before that if I had to guess. There will be some Fallout, probably. Trying to get through the Blood Bowl, rest of that team. Maybe at least 2 more, but I've got the blitzers sitting, taunting me, being like, paint me, paint me. And depending on whether or not the Scarecrow crew arrives, I'm not sure when it's shipping for the Batman game. I will be getting that done as soon as possible, just because, 1, because I want to, and 2, because I want to try them out. So you can probably expect to see that. Maybe some God Tier as well, if I find the time for it. I've got some old boxes to paint up. Managed to find a couple quite cheap on eBay as well, so I have more things to paint from that. And there is a couple of Kickstarters I backed like 2 years ago that are finally shipping. So you'll probably see unboxings for those as well, but also I'll be wanting to paint some stuff from those. So variety is definitely the port of call right now, which is good. It's nice not to have to say, like, I was never good at like batch painting 8, like Imperial Guardsmen who all look identical. I was never into that. I find that boring. I like the variety. But anyway, get through your piles of grey shame. It's fun. Doesn't matter if you're good at it or not, as long as you enjoy it. Plus, it lets you do stupid things like paint dog meat to look like your own dog. That's fun. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will hopefully see you in about 2 weeks for another update. Until then, ta for now.